Whoa. Whoa. There you go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Doing a live learn how to play and partial playthrough of the new Fallout board game. Now, I'm not going to play a full solo game because that would take a couple hours. But I'm going to play into it enough where I reveal, probably half of the map and do some fighting and have an opportunity to show you all the different possibilities. And I'll explain the rules as I go and how we already got the game set up. So let me go around here to the camera and get this thing started. So I'm gonna switch back and forth from the tripod to my hand for different things as we go along here. All right. All right, so this is what the first mission will look like. This is what they recommend you start with anyways. So that's what I'm starting with. There we go. So I got a nice overview. So basically, I've already set the map up. And we're doing the Commonwealth. This is the scenario they suggest. And on the back of each scenario, it shows you exactly how the map should look. And then it'll also tell you what starting... it's not quest. I'm trying to think of what. Maybe it is quest. Yeah. The starting quest. So we stage quest number 14 and place a shield token on the Diamond City. And a shield in this game represents the Institute. Probably always represents the Institute. So let me go ahead and do that. So I set this up just like it shows on here. Take one of the shield tokens. Place it on Diamond City. You can see here this is Diamond City. So I'll place that there. And then this is something really interesting about this game. And to me, it's what makes you just want to play it more and more and more. Is this deck right here. This deck has 100 cards in it. Okay? And they're numbered 1 to 159. So 159 cards. But anyway, you'll see different things in here. So when it says stage something, you go in this deck and you find it. So this said stage 014. Alright, so then we go into this deck here. We go find 14. So there you go. Put all these back down because you want to keep them in numerical order, which I just screwed that up. But you want to keep them in numerical order so when you go back through, things are easy to find. Okay? So this is the first card that comes out. Welcome to the Commonwealth. Many dangers lurk in this new wasteland ahead of you, but the one you have heard the most about is the dreaded synth, said to look, sound, and smell just like humans. They are robots who have infiltrated the very society of our Commonwealth. So to complete this quest, you have two options, and there could be more than two. But in this one, kill a suspected synth that no one will miss to find out the truth. Kill any skull. I don't know what the exact name of these creatures are, but there's different creatures out here. And they each have their own symbol. So there you go. So as these come out, I have to kill one like that. And it'll have the type right there, the name, a picture of it, its level, and its level is how much damage you have to do plus the amount of XP you gain when you kill it. Then it'll have a couple symbols here. In this case, this means when you kill it, you get a loot, and if you don't defeat it, it becomes inactive. And inactive monsters do not attack. Alright, so basically that's one option, is to kill any of these on the board. And then it'll show you what happens if you're successful. So shield plus, which in this case is the Institute. So what happens there is you increase this on this influence track here. I don't think it's really influence, but control over the town. So yeah, we would move this up 1. So now they have more, I'm just going to call it influence, over the land. And what this does is affects different scorings, and it'll actually change the stats of that particular creature. So this little shield here represents this guy, which is a level 2 synth who gives you loot when you kill it. And Y means you turn this sideways and look wherever it currently is on the track and look at that letter. So Y means he has a ranged weapon. So there you go. And same for the railroad monster or person, whatever. X you would look at here means level 1. So there you go. So if we completed that quest, the +1 shield would cause this to go down 1, which is actually up. And then if either of these ever make it to this last spot, the game ends. And everybody loses unless that going to the bottom would cause somebody to reach the score limit required to win, which I'll explain that later. So that's the first thing you would do if you were successful in killing one of these. Then you would get 2 loot cards from this loot deck right here. And I'll show you that in a minute. And then you would go into that card library we just looked at and pull out 15 and 134 and stage them out here, which would be new quests, and then this will get trashed. Your second option, this all sounds a bit overblown. Head to Diamond City and directly dig up some information. So you go to Diamond City, and this symbol right here means you could use an action during your turn, which you get 2 actions per turn, to do a quest encounter. So you go to Diamond City, then one of your actions would be to do this quest right here. Then you get 2 loot, stage 16 and 67. Then you would add card 17 from that deck to whatever deck it belongs to there. It'll have one of these symbols on the back, and I'll get to these in a minute. So anyway, there's the first quest card. So you put this out here where everybody can see it, because anybody can complete quests. Alright, so we set that up. We followed the instructions on the back of there to get this out here and the first quest out. Then we would choose our characters. I've already chosen mine, which is the Brotherhood Outcast. Very cool miniature. And you place this anywhere in the Crossroads camp tile that doesn't already have a person on it. So I always just put it right there on the edge so I can start heading this way. And you'll see each space is clearly outlined. So just follow these white outlines. That's a space, that's a space, that's a space, that's a space, and so on. The red outlined areas require 2 movement to move into. And when you do take a move action, you get two movement points every time you take the move action. And then there's going to be some other ones that pop up that have green outlines, and those are irradiated zones, and I'll show you those when we get there. But basically, anytime you enter a radiated zone, you would increase your radiation. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Yeah, it is awesome. I played it solo a few times now. So you would increase your radiation here if you went into a green area. Alright, so chose my character. Each character starts with an item. So depending on who you choose, you got the Wastelander, Vault Dweller, Super Mutant, and Ghoul. So they'll each start with different stuff. But I'll just show you who I started with. So he starts with the T45 Power Armor. It's worth 6 bottle caps. That's the currency in this game. They're in denominations of 1s and 5s. And that value is if I wanted to sell it. So you can sell to the market or buy. This little shield means the first 2 damage an enemy would do to me, I ignore. And whenever I perform the move action, I gain 1 movement point instead of 2 because this armor is so, heavy. If you ever played the game, it's pretty slow with the armor on. And then during my turn, I can pay 1 cap to ignore this movement effect till the end of my turn. So, pretty good. And then also when you choose your character, you'll place it there, you'll take the starting item, and then you'll get this, your special letter for your character. In this case, mine's an I, and I'll put it here in my tableau. So basically this means anytime I have a test or a fight that has the I as part of the test, I get to re-roll my dice for the I. Then each character will randomly take another letter. And these are supposed to be face down on the table, but I just put them in a bag and mix them up. So here's my other letter. It's a C. So now, anytime I would do a test or a fight that included a C and or an I would get to re-roll my dice. So if there was a test that required, say it was a CI4 test, I get to re-roll my dice twice if I wanted to. Alright, so that's the setup. Once everybody's put their people out, gotten their card, their starting letter, and then 1 additional at random, you're ready to go. One more thing I haven't done yet is set up the market. So you shuffle these market cards, and then you'll put 4 of them out. I'll just show you a few. So you got the plasma gun, and you see here it's got an I, A, and an L. So whenever you have this equipped, you can re-roll if you have an I, you can re-roll if you have an A, and you can re-roll if you have an L. It's also a ranged weapon, so you can shoot people adjacent to you without actually being in the same spot as them, and it's worth 8 bottle caps. It's a weapon because it's got this little handle here, and it says weapon, or the little hand here. This here is a garment because it has a little coat there. And if you look at your tableau, you can have 1 garment, 1 weapon, and 1 companion. You can also have 3 cards in your inventory. No more than 3. And no more than 1 equipped to each of these spaces. So these will be the 4 market cards. Got a plasma gun, and it states clearly on here what it does. You got the cure, which recovers HP. A lab coat, which is a little bit of armor and helps you with tests. And a sniper rifle that lets you shoot anyone on the board. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's a perk that lets you shoot anyone on the board. But anyways, you get the re-rolls on P, A's, and it's a ranged weapon. Always inflict hits when you roll that, but we'll get there. So there's the market. Now, everyone takes 1 agenda card. And the agenda cards have the number of players in the bottom left. So I've got all the ones for a 1-player game. Okay? So these do multiple things. I'll take my 1 starting agenda. Goes right there. And there's a bunch more. Here's all the ones for like 2 and up, 3 and up, and 4-player games. So the agenda cards actually do quite a bit in this game. First off, each agenda card is worth 1 influence. Your goal is to get to a certain number of influence points. In a single-player game, it's 11 influence, which is tough. And so like I said, they're worth 1 influence on their own. And then they're also worth whatever they say on here. So for each space, star has advanced farther than shield, plus 1 influence. So on this track here, let's just say the shield was here and the star was down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be worth 1 on its own plus 4 because star is 4 spaces ahead. So this would be worth 5 influence if that was the case. And then there's other ones that give you additional influence if there's a certain number of tiles that have not been revealed, different things. Second of all, after all players have gone, you'll flip the top card of the agenda deck, and all the listed monster types will activate. So what that means is, if the monsters are out and flip face up, they'll move 1 towards the closest survivor player. And if there's a tie for the closest survivor, they'll move towards the one with the lowest HP. Then, if a monster is in the same spot as you, it won't move, but it will fight you, just like a normal fight if you were to fight a monster. And I'll get to that later. If the monster has a little gun symbol, then and he's adjacent to you, then he'll just attack you from where he's at. See that gun? So basically that just means he has ranged attack ability, and he doesn't have to be in the same spot as you. He can shoot you from where he is. And in addition, if you don't have a gun, like a ranged weapon, then he does 1 additional damage to you no matter what. So keep that in mind. Finally, if after all the monsters have moved or attacked, if they're able to, any monsters that are face down become active. They flip face up, and that's all they do. They don't move or anything like that. So you'll just look at the board and see, are there any of these? Let's move them, attack, activate, so on and so forth. And sometimes you'll see the shield symbol and the star symbol as well, because as you can see in this game, this is actually a synth. So we refer to this for its stats, and cards like this would activate it. Alright. So then after all the monsters have activated, it goes back to the first player. So that's the second thing these agenda cards do. They keep track of basically the win condition. They tell you what monsters attack. And then when this is depleted in a single player game, the highest up symbol here will move down 1. If they're at the same level, they'll both move down. But in a multiplayer game, I'll have to look it up real quick. Basically, every time that depletes, the influence of both of these go up, and then this deck is passed to the next player, and that will determine basically the first player. The round, the order of play doesn't change, but that person is considered the first player because there's some things that happen. The person to the right of the first player. Yeah. So in a multiplayer game, you advance both faction tokens 1 space down the track to represent their power growing over time. So there you go. So solo, if one's further ahead, the one that's left behind gets moved. In a multiplayer, they'll both move down when this deck is depleted. And so that's everything that the agenda cards do. Showed you the market. Alright, so I guess the best way to continue is to just show you how it works. So each player on their turn gets 2 actions. And I'm going to refer to the rules guide to help me out here. Make it easier. So your options are move. You gain 2 movement points. But in my case, since I have the T45 power armor, it's so heavy, I only get 1 movement unless I pay a cap, and then I can ignore that for my entire turn. Second, you can explore, which is reveal an adjacent face-down map. And adjacent means directly bordering this white line. So you can't be here and then reveal this tile. You have to be here or here or here to reveal the surrounding tiles, which is why I start right here whenever I play, or so far I've played solo. So that's one action, is reveal a tile. Fight and attempt to kill an enemy in your space. Now there's an exception to this. It says in your space. If you have a ranged weapon, like the sniper rifle, it's got that little gun symbol, you can actually shoot enemies that are one space away from you. They don't have to be in the same spot as you to fight them. Then you can encounter, there's different things you can encounter on your turn. You can encounter, here we go, these spaces. So this, can't remember exactly what they're called, but there's these and these. So basically, most of the time, these will get you to shop. Most of the time, these will advance a storyline and add more cards to the encounter deck. But there you go. You can encounter whatever location you're at, and sometimes there's quests that require you to encounter stuff as well. So, all right, and then another option. Oh, and you can only encounter if no enemy is present. So obviously, if there's an enemy right there, you have to kill him before you can start searching around. And then there's a quest action, so you can complete one of the quest objectives with that little symbol as long as there's no enemy around. So for example, here for Diamond City, you could, if you were here, pretend this was flipped over, you could go 1, 2 for movement, and then use that quest action to complete this quest. And then finally, you can camp. Camping's pretty important, I've learned, because you recover 3 HP. You get to unexhaust cards. There's certain cards you have to tap, like turn sideways to use. This lets you untap them. You become well rested, and what well rested does, among other things, you get this little token here, and it goes up in your conditions area, and you can remove this to re-roll your dice, which is really good. And finally, you can trade with other survivors if there's no enemy present. You can, trade items or cash for items, whatever you want to do. Because this is semi-cooperative, I guess. You don't want to die, but you don't want the other person to win either. So there you go. During your turn, you get 2 actions between move, explore, fight, encounter, quest, or camp. So I'm going to, right off the bat, flip these 2 tiles. And when you flip tiles, and as you're putting them out, you want to make sure the arrow is always facing the same direction on all the tiles. Okay? So that was my 2 actions. And I just realized I forgot to put enemies out. When you start the game, you'll see these little enemy symbols like this. That means put an active enemy there. And anytime you flip over a tile and you see these enemy symbols, you have to put the matching enemy type there. So let me go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we got our enemies out. Let me give you a little closer view. There we go. So that's a Super Mutant Overlord. Level 3, requires hits to the head, and if you kill him, you get a loot. There you go. Alright. Okay, so that was both of my actions. I explored and then I explored. You can do those actions, you can repeat any action. There's no limitation. Alright, so now that I've taken my actions, I'll flip the top card of the agenda deck, and the star enemy would attack. There's no star enemies out. And the robot enemy is going to activate, not attack. So he'll move 1 space towards me, because I'm the only player. And they can move on to unrevealed tiles. So the quickest path to me is for him to move there. Now, if I moved over here and explore it on my next turn, when I flip that tile over, whoever flips it over gets to decide where that monster goes. So, there you go. And that's it. So we activated that monster, because that's the only robot out. If there was 5 robots out, we'd have to activate each one individually. Now it's back to me. I get 2 actions. So I'll go, well, let's see. I want to kill any skull creature, and that'll increase that. So let me look at this. So at the start of my turn, I can reveal this card to declare loyalty to Star. And what that means is I'm loyal to the railroad. Okay? And whenever railroad enemies activate, this thing, if there was any of these out on the map, since I'm loyal to the railroad, they won't take me into consideration during activation. So that's the first thing loyalty does. The second thing it does is it gives me +1 influence for each space the railroad marker is on this influence track, or this power track, ahead of the Institute. So, like I said, if it was 5 spaces ahead of the Institute, this would be worth 6 points by itself. So, I'm not going to reveal that yet. You can only have one revealed at a time, and that's who your loyalty is to. And only when you have loyalty to that group do you get those extra points. So, I have no reason to do that right now. But anyways, what's the other option? Go to Diamond City and use a quest action. I think I'm just going to go up here and kill this guy. Yeah. I'm going to try anyway. So, oh yeah, also, I forgot something else. At the beginning of the game, each player should take 3 bottle caps. Okay? So I'm going to spend 1 bottle cap to ignore my heavy suit this turn so I can make 2 move actions. So 1, 2, that's 1 action. Second action is going to be to fight this guy. So the way fighting works is he's a level 1, so I need at least 1 hit to the chest, or the torso, or the head. Okay? And on these dice, there's going to be torso hits and head hits and arm hits, full body hits, legs. You get the idea. So you get to roll all 3 of them every time that I've seen so far. Well, you get to roll all 3 of them. And I need at least 1 hit to this guy. But he has a shield. Okay, so that means I actually need 2 hits to the head or torso to kill him. And then I'll gain 1 XP. And also he has a ranged ability, but it doesn't matter because he's not being activated right now. So I'll roll, and let's see what my results are. So, let's see. I need torso and head to kill him. I got torso and head. So he's dead because I went through his shield and took that 1 point of damage. But you see these 3 stars here? That means I take 3 points of damage. For each star that's on the dice, that's the damage you take. And so I met the requirement to kill him, but I take 3 damage. But luckily, my T45 power armor gives me 2 armor. I get to block 2 of that damage. So basically I take 1 damage. So I'll move my HP from 16 to 15. And I gain 1 XP, and I'll get to that in a moment. And whenever you defeat an enemy, they go back to the supply, and then you replace that enemy on the board on the closest symbol that matches it on the map. So this guy goes back to the supply, then I'll find another skull. There we go. And he'll go onto the map, the closest symbol that matches it, face down. So inactive. There you go. So now let me tell you about XP. So anytime you earn XP, you'll move this gray peg to the next letter that you have filled in. Okay? So that's 1 XP. So obviously my next XP would go here. But then what? If I gain another XP after this, it goes back to the beginning, and then I'll draw 2 more letters from the bag, choose one to keep, and place it in here. Now, if the one I keep is already here, then I'll just put it back to the supply, and then I get to go through this perks deck and find one that matches the letter I just discarded. So I'm looking for a C, just in this example, C. So I get to choose between these two. I could get Master Trader or Inspirational, which basically I can go shop and buy and sell all till my heart's content, or I can steal somebody's companion. So that's the way XP works. Once you get to your last letter, you loop back around, grab 2 letters out of the supply, choose one, stick it in here if you can. If it matches one you already have, put it back to supply, go get a perk from the deck that matches that letter. And then you continue to gain XP. So if I gained 3 that time, oops. If I gained 3 that time, it would go 1, 2, back to 0, or back to start. Choose 2 letters, do my thing, and then 3. Okay, but only gained 1. So there you go. That's how the whole XP system works. So you want to fill this thing up, because the more letters you have, the more chance you have of being able to re-roll stuff. But at the same time, it'll take you longer to level up. Basically, you'll get less picks from the bag. But at the same time, once you fill this up, every time you level up, you'll be getting a perk, which is cool too. And the perks are, from what I've seen, one-time use, and they go back to the stack. It's not where you draw one. You have to go through the deck, find one, pick one, and that's what you get. Okay, so that was my second action. I moved 2, killed that guy, gained my XP. Yeah, there was no loot for that guy. And then that's the end of my turn, so I'll reveal the next agenda card. There's no star enemies on the board, so nothing happens there, and there's no demon or whatever that is enemies, so I got lucky. Nothing happens that time. Oh, but I forgot. Since I killed one of these guys, this happens and this quest is completed. So the Shield Institute will move up on the power track. So now the Institute has more power than the Railroad now. And I get 2 loot cards, and I'll go in this card library here and find number 15 and number 134, and those will be the new quests, and then I trash this. So let me get my loot. Alright, so I got a Tesla Science magazine. When you camp, if you do not have the eye, which of course I already have the eye, you can discard this card and gain 2 XP. So right now my inventory is empty, so I'm just going to hang on to it because I might be able to sell it for a couple bottle caps later. Other than that, it does me no good. Then I got the knife. So during a fight, each time you would spend a leg hit result, suffer 1 damage. So I'll go ahead and equip that in my hand space because it's got the hand symbol. You can only have one thing equipped at a time. So now I have a garment, a weapon. Oh, let me move it down. I have a garment, a weapon, and I have a space for a companion. There's 1 item in my inventory. You can only have 3 items in your inventory at a time. If you would ever have more, you have to decide what to get rid of. So I got my 2 loot, and now I need to go in the deck and find, 15 and 134. So you pick up this big old deck, number 15, and number 134. There you go. So those are the 2 new quests. Put these back the way they were, so they're in numeric order. So here's the new ones. All aboard. After asking around in Diamond City, you are approached by a man calling himself Drummer Boy. He explains that the scents are actually the work of an organization known as the Institute, and he asks for your help in freeing them. Flesh and Bone. I'm not going to read all that. But anyways, then it'll have in bold some actions for you to take. So we need to place a shield on downtown Boston. So grab one of these shields. Here's downtown Boston right here. So now there's 2 of these synths running around. And then we find card number 135 and add it to its respective, encounter deck. So let's go find it first. Whenever it says add, you find it in the deck and add it to the proper deck. Whenever it says stage, you put it out here for everybody to see. So we got to go find 135. There we go, 135. And it goes in the city deck. So we take this. Whenever you would add a card to one of these encounter decks, you draw cards equal to the number of players, shuffle this into it, and then put it back on top. So in a 1-player game, I draw 1 card, shuffle them up, shuffle them up, shuffle them up, and then put it on top. So that's basically, it's so cool. It's making it so that as you progress through the quests, it's adding storyline to the encounters. So when you go around, the encounters actually coincide with the current quests that are available. It's really cool. So now, warn the Institute. Let's see. What? Warn the Institute about the railroad agents and get them to deploy more synth soldiers. Combat the Institute at locations. Place the 3rd shield on the map. 3 caps. Okay, so if anything causes you to place the 3rd shield on the map, you've completed this quest. Or you can go adjacent to a shield enemy and use a quest action to help the Institute or the railroad. So you have a choice to support the Institute or support the railroad, and that'll all be based on whatever agenda cards you have in your hand or showing. So, and then you can use a quest action at any shop and pass an SC3 test. And remember, you're trying to roll 3 on a test. You're trying to roll 3 stars. And what the letters mean is, if you have these letters, you can re-roll any number of dice for each letter that you have in your special track. So you want to get eventually 3 stars in your results, and you can re-roll as many times as the numbers you match here. And then the other option is encounter any city until you find Olivia's sister. And I tried that crap. Good luck with that. Holy crap. I just stayed at one spot and used both of my actions as encounters over and over and over, and never found Olivia's sister. I don't know where she's at. But anyways, if you finish either of these, you get a new agenda card, and then you'll stage a new quest. Also important to note is you can never have more than 4 agenda cards at any time during the game. And there's different numbers of influence you need to win the game. Like I said, in the solo mode, you need 11 points. But you can never have more than 4 agenda cards. Alright, so those are our new quests. And let's see. So we already flipped this over. So I revealed those, flipped, moved an attack, flipped. Now it's my turn again. Okay, so what do I want to do? Let's go down this way and try to finish this flesh and bone. So I'm going to go 1 and then reveal this. And when this flips over, I get to choose where this enemy goes on that tile because I flipped it over. I'm going to put him way over here. So leave me alone. Okay, so there was my 2 actions. Now we flip the agenda card. All skull and bug or insect or whatever that is, creatures attack or activate. So there's only 1 skull out that's active. So he'll move 1 space closer to me. Because remember, enemies can move on unflipped tiles. Only enemies. And then since this one's face down, during activation, he'll just flip face up. and that's all he'll do for this turn. And that's it. Now it's back to me. And like I said, I'm trying to head down to this little shop spot to finish this quest. So go to any shop and use the quest action, and then pass the SC3 test. So let's go. Since this is adjacent, you see this border here, it touches this. I'm going to go ahead and use 1 to flip this. And then I get to choose where he goes. Let's put him right there. And then, well, I can't even move in there without spending a cap, because I only get 1 point of movement because I got this heavy suit, but I can pay 1 cap to get 2 points of movement. And the reason I say that is because both areas of this tile are outlined in red, which means it takes 2 movement points just to get into that spot. So how bad do I want in there? Let's see. I could just head that way and keep exploring, but then more guys will pop up. Whatever. I'll go here, spend 1 cap, so I can actually get in there. That'll be the end of my turn. That's 2 actions. Next agenda card. Ooh, okay. So all shield enemies move 1 towards me. And there's none of those out, but there's a robot. So he'll move 1 closer towards me, and that'll be that. Alright, so now I got 2 actions again. I think I'll go 1, 2. Okay, so that's my 2 actions. I only get 1 movement point. If you were any other character in the game, you would get to move 2 spaces per movement. I just want to reiterate that. This says when you perform a move action, you gain 1 movement instead of 2. And I'm not giving up my last bottle cap for that. So anyways, and now it is the enemy's turn. Okay, here we go. So first, let's go ahead and move him. Shield moves 1 towards me. This shield is going to attack me. And now the shield, you have to look at this here. So this is the shield stats. So this guy is a level 2, requires torso hits to kill. So I need 2 torso hits to kill him. And Y at this level means he has the ranged ability, which doesn't matter. He's in the same spot as me. So we're going to fight. And if I kill him, I get a loot. So what I'm looking for is at least 2 torso hits on this roll. Alright, so I got it. There we go. 2 torso hits and a head hit. 3 asterisks means I take 3 damage. But my suit gives me 2 armor, so I only take 1 damage. There you go. Took my damage. This guy's dead. And since that's one of the actual powers that be enemies, a new one doesn't come out to replace it. But I do get 2 XP and a loot card. There's the loot card. This is a companion, so I'll go ahead and equip him in my companion spot. And 2 XP. So 1 takes me to the next letter. The second one wraps me back around here because those are the only 2 letters I have. So 1, 2. Since I wrap back around, I get to choose 2 special letters and choose 1 to keep. Oh, and of course, they're both ones I already have. So it doesn't matter. I'll send the C back. I already have the I. I can't put it there, so I get to go to the perks deck and get one of the perks that has the letter I highlighted. So here's the perks. There's an I. There's an I. Maybe there's 2 for each. Yep, there you go. So I get to choose between Gun Nut and Swift Learner. Discard to level up. Keep both special tokens. If you gain a perk, you cannot choose Swift Learner. Discard at a shop. to gain a weapon item from the shop or from any discard pile. So that's the shop up there, those 4 cards. So which one should I keep? I think I'm just going to keep this one. And at the beginning of my next turn, I'll just level up. Okay, so this goes back. Alright, so that was the first activation. Second one is this DNA symbol. And this guy's a DNA symbol, so he'll move 1 space towards me. And that's the end of the enemy activation phase. Now it comes back to me. And I get 2 actions. I'll go here. And so that's 1 action. My second action is going to be this quest action. So I'll do that at any of the shops, which I just did. Then I'll do an SC test 3. So basically, I don't have S or C in my tab. Well, I do have C. So I get to re-roll once. If I had S and C, I'd get to re-roll twice. And I'm trying to get 3 of these asterisks to pass this SC3 test. Alright, there's 1. I get 1 free re-roll. There's 2. Let's see. Exhaust to trade 1 other survivor anywhere on the map. That doesn't do me any good. Alright, so I failed. So nothing happens. I have to use my next turn. But I am going to use this perk card to go ahead and level up and keep both of the letters that I draw from the back. So basically, if this wasn't already at the XP spot, if it was over here somewhere, I'd move it back to the XP spot, return the perk card to the pile, and then I get to draw 2 of these and keep both of them. So I got an S and an E. Awesome. Okay, S and an E. So I'm almost special. I'm etchy. Something like that. Alright. So that's the end of my turn. And the enemies activate. Boom. There's no stars out on the board, but there is 1 DNA looking dude. He'll move 1 space towards me. And that'll be the end of the enemy activation. So I'm going to try this one more time. I'm already at a shop location. I'm going to use my first action as a quest action to try to pass this SC3 test. Now since I have the S and the C, I get to re-roll twice. Excuse me. Oh yeah, first try. So I got 4 asterisks, which is 3 or more. So I completed this quest. So I gain an agenda card. So this one says, for each space the Institute is advanced farther than the railroad, it's +1 influence. So I've got 1, 2, and then if I reveal this, I'm claiming loyalty to the Institute, and the shield enemies will not consider me during activation. Plus, I'll get 1 for each space that the shield is further along the track than the star. So this will be worth 1, 2. I'll go ahead and reveal it. So now I'm loyal to the Institute. This is worth 2 points. This is worth 1, so I've got 3 influence. Plus, the shields will not attack me during enemy activation. So that's cool. And then I go into the deck, find card number 137, and trash this one. It says stage. So that means I put it out here as a quest. Go on the deck, find 137. There we go. Edge of a knife. All right. Olivia confides that yes, she is in fact a synth, but she regrets what she did under the Institute that made her, and she wants to escape to a new life. She has heard of an organization known as the Railroad. Who am I? Oh, crap. I'm loyal to the Institute. That can help her do just that. So for this quest, you can go to Pendleton Estate, use a quest action, and pay 6 caps. And I guess you're paying for a ticket. Yeah, it says pay to get in contact with agents of the railroad, or with the transceiver or a transceiver from a robot, you can contact the Institute. So you can either help her or contact the Institute to have her killed. I guess. I'm not sure. So basically to do that, you would kill any robot and you would steal their transceiver. You would get another agenda card and stage a new quest. So these quests build this story all along the way. And then some of these quests add stuff to the location decks, which enriches the story even more. It's a really cool game. I really like it. So there you go. I completed that. That was my first action. So I think my second action, maybe I'll go shopping. No, I don't have any caps. I'm just going to head down this way. One movement because of my heavy suit. Now my turn's over. Flip over the next agenda card. So all the skulls and these little things are going to move. None of these guys are out, but there are some skulls out. So the skull will move one. Oh, wait, he's adjacent to me. Because this whole thing is a space when it's not flipped over, and it's adjacent right here. And he has the little gun symbol. So that means he'll attack me from where he's at. I don't have a ranged weapon, so that'll add 1 damage to it automatically. So I'm taking 1 damage no matter what. Well, not really, because I have a 2 shield. But anyways, and he's got a shield, so I've got to do 2 damage to the torso or head just to kill him. So let's see what happens. All right, so there's 1 torso, but he also hits me back. Legs. And another torso. So there's the 2 damage. And I'm not going to spend this, because if I do spend it, actually I'm just going to re-roll it, because with the knife I get to, I don't have any A's. Dang it. So I don't get to re-roll, but I'm not going to spend it. That's a good rules question. Do you have to spend a dice, or does it automatically get spent? I don't know. So anyways, I've got 2 torso hits. That kills him. I'd take 3 damage plus the 1 from his ranged weapon, because I don't have a ranged weapon. But that's a total of 4. But I subtract 2 because of my shield, so I only take 2 damage. 13, 12. There you go. And then he dies, and I get 1 XP. And then he'll get replaced. So my XP goes to the first letter. There you go. He'll go away, back to the supply, get replaced to the closest symbol of his type, face down, so he's inactive. And on to the next skull enemy, which is this guy, and he'll move 1 space towards me, and that's it. Now it's back to me. So now I either want to go to Pendleton Estate, which I haven't even revealed yet, so I have no idea where it is. Plus I don't have 6 caps, I only have 1 cap. And I've learned from playing this game that you get caps by going to these locations and doing the encounter action. So I'm going to flip this over and just hope one of those places is there, because I move so slow, it's just not even funny. Or this right here says, no, I don't want to do that because it'll advance the railroad, and my loyalty is to that, but I could always flip this face down and change my loyalty to be for the other team. And then I would finish this, because it says use a quest action adjacent to a shield. So I'm going to move 1. That's 1 action. Second action is going to be the quest action adjacent to this shield right here. And that'll advance the star up 1. And I get 3 caps. I've been needing caps bad. I only have 1. There we go. And I'll stage quests number 20 and 134 and trash this card. So I'm going to go get 20 and 134. Oh, I already finished 134, so I'll just go get 20. There it is. Institutionalized. From the freed sense, you learn about all the Institute's hidden underground factory where they develop the sense. The only way you are going to be able to get in there is by posing as a member. So I can kill any robot, I guess, to take his parts and make myself look like a robot. Or I can go to the railroad, pass a P4 test using a quest action. Alright. So that was my second action. Now we go here. I'm about to end this video because I'm just going to play to the first time this deck gets depleted. But you've seen almost everything. Know it all, that means nothing. I just look at the bottom right because we're activating enemies. And that is this guy here. He's the only DNA guy out. This is all one space, so he moves into my space and does not attack me because he wasn't already in my space. Let me make sure that's right, because they should only be able to be able to do two things, either move or attack, not move and then attack. So what I'm saying is he should only move into my space and not attack me. So I'm looking for weapons and apparel, enemy abilities. There we go. From left to right, for each enemy shown in the card, when an enemy type activates, you move each enemy of that type one space toward the nearest survivor. If before moving that enemy enters the space, blah blah blah. After all enemies of a type have activated, okay. One space toward the nearest survivor. Yeah, if before moving, that enemy is either in the space or has a gun and is one space away, then he attacks. So anyway, he just moves into my spot. That's the end of that. That's my turn again. I'm gonna, let's see. I still don't know where Pendleton Estate is. There's no robots anywhere near me. Let's see. 2, 3. There should always be the same number of bad guys out, so I forgot to put a guy out one of these times. Kill any. Where is the railroad? Alright, so oh, there's the railroad. So I guess I'll head that way. So first action, flip this over. Second action, I'll pay 1 so that I get to move 2 spaces because of my heavy suit. And I'll go 1, 2. So I went into this green outlined area, which that's an irradiated zone. See the green outline? So I'll increase my radiation by 1. And if your health ever meets the radiation, you die. And then respawn. And your radiation stays there and your health goes all the way back up. Alright, so I went 1, 2. Excuse me, that was my second action. And I flipped over this, which had a little DNA symbol there. So I put, whenever you flip over a tile and there's monsters on the tile, you put them face up. So they come out activated. And that's the end of my turn. Then the last agenda card for this round is bugs. There's no bugs out. And this has been depleted. So we shuffle it up, create the new deck, and then since these are on the same level, they both go down 1. If one was higher than the other, the one that was highest would go down 1 space instead. Then it goes back to me, and play continues in a 1-player game until you have 11 influence points. Right now I only have 2. So you can imagine that was a 1-hour playthrough with some explanations. And if I was just playing, not explaining stuff, That would be a little different. Plus, I didn't get into any encounters. Whenever you go to a space with this symbol on it and use the encounter action, you'll draw the top card here. And it'll give you, in a multiplayer game, the person to your left will take this card, read the scenario and your 2 options, and then you decide what you're going to do before hearing the consequences. In a solo mode, you just kind of cover them up, read the 2 options, and then make your decision and find out what you decided on. And then sometimes these will add quests, or they'll take cards out of the card library and add them to this, like we saw earlier. And then you can also go to these places and use the encounter action. And most of the time here you'll get to shop from the 4 cards in the shop there, or sometimes the discard piles. And so it's the same deal. You read the top, your options, you make your choice, and then find out what happens to you. And then these are like legendary or special equipment or items. So I went exploring somewhere in one of these locations like over and over again, so I got pretty deep into the story. And I go find this girl's father's dead body. It's just a skeleton by the time I find him, and a minigun is sitting in his lap. So that was pretty cool. Pretty powerful weapon. So that's what these are. Is like you have to go pretty deep into the storyline to get a hold of some of these. And yeah, that's of course there's more details I didn't talk about. There's conditions, like you can get addicted to stuff, and if you get addicted to stuff, then you don't get to untap your cards when you do the camp action. And then I explained well rested, and then there's idolized and villainized, so you can be really popular or really unpopular, and different things happen based on that. So yeah, there's definitely more to the game that I even got to talk about in this 1 hour learn to play playthrough. So anyways, this should give you a pretty good idea about how the game plays, what to expect, the depth of the stories, the combat, the different tests. It's just really cool. I'm going to take this up to Cape Fear Games here this Thursday and hopefully get 4 people that are willing to learn how to play, and maybe we can get an entire game in. On the box it says 2 to 3 hours, so we'll see, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, play all the games. Take it easy, Ryan.